pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
That wasn't clear. Do we have Shane on the phone too?
It says he's on hold.
Okay. Are you able to take him off hold?
I just started the meeting, so he should be, let me see how he came in. I don't see him in here, but I will try to have him try star 6.
Shane, try star 6.
I'm here. Do you guys hear me?
We can. Thank you.
Huh?
I think they heard him in one song. We got the speakers up to 11 here.
Do we have Chris and Shane on?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think we're good to go. Okay.
Okay, so the meeting has been called to order. We said the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have any comments from the audience? Is there any audience that called in that are, no? Okay. So we do have a correction to the consent calendar, which is there's a couple of changes to B, which is the minutes. So we're going to take consent item B off of the consent calendar and put it onto the action. And that change.
I'll move approval of the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Starting the vote. Director Cephalou, how would you like to vote? Director Cephalou, how would you like to vote on this item for the consent calendar?
Chris, are you there?
Can you hear me?
There we go.
Yes, thanks.
Yes, we can hear you now.
It's going on. Something might be going on your end because I've been like not getting audio consistently.
Okay, we'll try to work on that from our end. How would you like to vote on this item?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Ramses, how would you like to vote on this item?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes unanimous.
Okay, and so then we will vote on the minutes. And do you need to tell us the changes that we're making? Sure.
Let's do the minutes at the end, so it would be added as item 6D.
D, oh, okay.
That way we'll reorder everything.
Okay, sure. 60. Okay, so then that brings us to 6A, which is utility pipeline crossing assessment, and that's EGO.
I thought this would go forward in item 5. Not so.
Oh.
Well, that's how I saw it too, but
You're right. You're correct.
that's how I saw it.
Okay, you want to handle that at this time?
So that would be that we're, so now we're going back to you, Melanie.
Okay, that's me. Okay, so the correction that we are making to the minutes on items, let's see here, D, E, and F. We have on page 3, you can see about 2 paragraphs down, Director Peterson recused himself at 2:40 p.m. And so then those next items, D, E, and F, they currently show Director Peterson is voting yes, but he was recused, so he did not vote. We're going to be removing that so that he was not present during those votes. So the vote will not be no or yes, it will be absent.
Thank you. With that correction, I'll move approval of item B.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. start the vote. Director Cefalu, how would you like to vote on this item?
Chrissy, you out there?
Technical difficulties. Director Rontos, how would you like to vote on this item?
Yes.
Okay. And do we have Director Cefalu, how would you like to vote on this item?
Can you guys have me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, I said yes on
Okay,
matters.
thank you. That motion passes unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we go.
Good afternoon, board members. Item 6A. So that involves the selection of engineering consultants to assist staff conduct pipeline conditions assessments and field surveys of district utility pipelines at stream crossings within the El Dorado County service area. I sent out a memo yesterday. I hope you all had a chance to see that and review it. I'm just going to quickly summarize, I guess, kind of what's in the agenda item and what's in the memo. So we have a review team of district staff composed of Chris Stanley and Steve Caswell, Trevor Coolidge, Ryan Lee, and myself. We reviewed proposals that were received from 4 different engineering firms in reply to the district's RFP for this project. As far as the scoring goes, to ensure consistency review, district staff use a set scoring matrix with points allotted for each proposal items requested in the RFP. The scores were compiled and we met 2 times to talk about the scores and the merits of the proposals, because there are some items in the proposals that you really can't capture from the score sheet. So one of those is, well, the primary objective of this project is basically to go out and do kind of reconnaissance level surveys of these pipeline crossings, because we have very limited information on those crossings. Within our asset management program, we're looking at somewhere on the order of 25 crossings per year. So a great majority of those are sight unseen. And so it was important to us that we are able to capture as many of these stream crossings as possible as part of this effort. And so looking at the scores and who could best achieve that objective, we came up with a recommendation for Cardinal Incorporated. And so any questions about that? Okay, then with that, what I asked the board to do is set the cost proposal from Cardinal Inc. It was in the amount of $299,230 to conduct utility pipeline crossing assessments within the district service area, and authorize staff to enter into an agreement with Cardinal Incorporated to perform the work described in their proposal for utility pipeline crossing assessments dated June 18th, 2021.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Director Cefalu, how would you like to vote?
I had one,
Oh.
maybe we need to add one, because I got a message from Star saying that Cardinal wanted some changes to the master service.
Yeah, they're suggestions, they're not must-haves.
Okay, so they're not saying those have to be included.
Correct. Okay.
Okay, so the motion stands. Director Cefalu, how would you like to vote?
Yes.
Director Ramses, how would you like to vote?
Yes.
And that motion passes unanimous.
I think a question on this. Council brings up a good question. When the board approves selection, like we just did, my assumption is it is subject to contract negotiation later. That is subject to motion. Do we need to make that explicit, or is that an implied subject to?
A lot of these have a contract already set. This one apparently, we don't have one with them.
Correct.
So this is a new contract, so so typically we wouldn't even bring that up. And since these, I think the changes aren't being made mandatory by Cardinal, they're within discretion of district staff to handle.
Would it be inappropriate for me to clarify my motion at this point, even though we just voted on it? My intent was it would be subject to contract negotiation.
Yeah, you can make that further motion.
I'll make that as a subsequent motion.
Do we need to vote again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Director Cefalu, how would you like to vote?
Yes, again.
Director Ramses, how would you like to vote?
Yes.
And that motion passes unanimous.
Okay, that brings us to 6B, underground repair water staffing. That is you, Mr. Field.
Thank you. This item is in regards to asset management and underground repair water department staffing needs. We had some discussion at the last board meeting on this, and we had major discussion on this with the board ad hoc committee, the Committee for Organizational Structure, Service, and Efficiency. And I provided a lot of detail in this write-up. But in essence, I'm seeing that we need another frontline worker here to implement our asset management processes in the field. Our other crews are hitting the somewhat between water line repairs and service installations and other work, but we really need more horsepower, and we really need someone dedicated and talented, focused on the core asset management work that's been missing over time. Checking and fixing hydrants and valves, early leak detection, system flushing, cathodic protection, and pressure management as top examples. And really, as kind of a gut check on this, our water department has had the same number of workers for over 30 years, essentially, while our system has doubled in age during that time, from 30 years old to 60 years old. Our water lines are hitting and exceeding their useful life in many situations, as exhibited by more leaks, larger leaks, more expensive leak repairs and paving repairs, and even major blowouts like the one we just had over Memorial Day weekend on Normuck. So we are making improvements to overall water department efficiency lately, and that will help, but we really need this new frontline worker. And actually this proposed position, this is also a new kind of position I've talked a little bit about in the past, more of a cross-functional hybrid position that can work across multiple departments as short-term needs arise, but the core focus will remain on water system asset management. Building a better, more reliable, more cost and energy efficient system, reducing water losses, reducing emergency repair and paving costs, extending the useful life of our system, and overall minimizing life cycle costs. So again, this position was discussed in detail with the ad hoc committee, Kelly and Chris, and they indicated their support of this position. Any comments or questions from the board?
Yes, Dave Peterson here, but I guess the question I would have, is this a short-term need or long-term?
This is a long-term need. I mean, asset management is here now and will only continue to grow.
Understood, but you're not trying to solve a workload bubble. This is a year after year, year over year need.
That's how I see it. But at least every year at budget time and every time we have a vacancy in the department, I think we'll reassess staffing needs.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hey, John and Kelly especially, forgive me for not recalling this conversation. I mean, I remember what we talked about, but I don't remember specifically adding a position. Maybe I do recall us talking about somebody who could work across different departments to help ease the workload, but I don't remember ever specifically talking about adding a new position with a name. Sorry. You might have to jog my memory on that.
Oh, I do. I remember Chris, and that was
Thank
when he went to the dry erase. You know, the
Dry erase board, we
Okay.
Spread out that organizational structure.
That's how I remember it, Chris.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that. Thanks. I do. I'm getting old.
Okay, and this kind of maybe follows up. We had a lot of discussion. We talked about, and it kind of gets to Dave's point. You know, is this a new long-term position? And I see that as yes. And then every time I think there's movement in the department or even in other departments, and that's certainly at every one-year budget cycle, we reassess staffing. Any other comments or questions?
I'm here. Thank you.
With that, my proposed board action is to approve asset maintenance specialist position.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Director Cephalou,
Yes.
Director Ramzos,
Yes.
motion passes unanimous.
Okay. That brings us to 6C, and I will move approval of payment of claims in the amount of $1,560,370.29.
I'll second.
Here we have a motion and a second. Director Cephalou,
Yes.
Director Ramzos,
Yes.
motion passes unanimous.
Okay, standing and ad hoc committee and liaison reports.
I have none this time. We do have an El Dorado Water Agency meeting on the 14th of July, but other than that, no committee reports for me. Thank you.
Okay. And I sat in with the city manager and Tamara Wallace and John yesterday in Chris's absence, and I enjoyed it. It was good. It seemed like we covered a lot of
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, some good ideas.
Yeah.
Some
And I
ongoing
think
ideas.
the main thing was the APA, was that?
Oh, the ARPA funding?
ARPA funding, so that was something that was on your mind.
Yeah, I've talked to the board a little bit about the ARPA funding coming out, the American Recovery Relief Act, and money's going directly to the city, about $4.1 million, and I think it's 37 plus million is going to the county. And so nothing is coming to the special districts, it looks like. So we must reach out to the city, reach out to the county, to try to get a piece of that
And
funding.
what did you say that something was going to be decided yesterday, so it was decided that nothing would come to special district?
Yeah, there was an item in the state budget, a proposal to include $100 million in direct funding to special districts. I've not heard whether that's been successful or not.
It is in the budget as proposed right now, which has not been signed by the governor, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what it's waiting for.
And I thought that had to be signed by yesterday, but maybe today.
Yeah.
So we're day by day was proposed. If he signs it without change, it'll be in there, and we'll probably be fighting with some 400 plus other special districts in the state of California for that 100 million. So, and as with the city and the county, I mean, already the requests are far exceeding the available funds. But we're making our case. And for example, with the city, I've mentioned this before, I think the direct losses to the district are about 540,000 at this point. Most of that was that relief fund with the 50% off sewer rate relief fund. And probably 2/3 or more of that was for city customers. So we'll get the exact numbers, but let's just say it's like, $350,000 for the city. We talked to Tamara and Joe, the city manager, about proposing a project to reimburse the district for that $350,000. And with that $350,000, we would use that for new fire hydrant installations in the city. So I think having a reason to receive the funds is half the battle. The other half is to show them how you're going to use those funds. They're shovel ready, fire readiness, etc. And the city offered to bring this project forward, and they have actually, I think, $20 million of other projects already, looking for funding. So about $20 million in different types of projects, including our hydrant project, will be competing for these $4 million. The city has put together a citizens advisory group, and they've got putting together a system where actually people can vote on the type of projects they would like to spend that $4 million on. So anyway, we appreciated the Tammy and Joe bringing that forward to the council for us. And we talked about the solar project, the paving MOU, workforce housing.
COVID.
COVID, of course.
Yeah. No conversation. Cannot really have COVID in it. Okay. Well, that's it for me. We got board member reports. Anyone? Chris? Shane?
Sure, I can report out on our ad hoc committee for the system efficiency group, and basically we're provided a report, and we're working towards developing a dashboard that partly, maybe some portion would be proprietary to district staff, and some other portions would be made available to the public. And then also Shelley and Ryan presented on a transition plan, basically a fleet transition plan to move us towards expanding the fleet and replacing the fleet with more energy efficient or electrical vehicle type things. So we kind of left it at that. There's more work going to be kind of played out with the plan, and we'll be meeting again in a couple months. That's it.
Thank you, Jane.
I think we'll probably plan on bringing that transition plan forward to the full board in September timeframe, plus or minus, in front of the budget season. Thanks, Shane.
And so Dave already touched on El Dorado Water Agency. So, and what we're going to do now, Evo, is we're going to have you do your staff report now, please.
All right. Okay. Well, I just wanted to give you an update on the progress of the groundwater management plan. So my last update was in the beginning of April, and so since that time we've been working on doing what needs to be done to update the 2014 groundwater management plan, and just want to again remind you that the plan will need to be submitted to DWR by January 1, 2022. So over the past 3 months, the Desert Research Institute has focused their modeling efforts on evaluating the effects of groundwater pumping on interconnected surface waters within our subbasin. We've been working with DRI in the development of sustainable management criteria. These are particular specific items that are laid out by the Department of Water Resources under the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. These management criteria include what's referred to as sustainability indicators. So these are the types of things that DWR, or the Groundwater Management Act, does not want to see within a groundwater basin. And within our basin, the ones that apply to us are lowering groundwater levels, reduction in groundwater storage, surface water depletion, and land subsidence. There is also, associated with these indicators, there are things that they term as undesirable results. So you have to, based on the local conditions and the hydrology within a specific subbasin, you need to describe what that undesirable result would look like within your subbasin. So that you have to go through that kind of analysis. And then after that, you have to determine, they want you to quantify what they refer to as minimum thresholds. So these are like, if you go beyond this threshold, go beyond this tipping point, then you're in a problem state, okay, that needs to be rectified and corrected. So we're working through that process, and I think we have a good handle on all those, and I think I can say right now that I don't believe that we're going to see significant issues that require us to develop specific projects to address goals with milestones and such that need to be set within a specific time frame. The problems that we have do not rise to that level. We've been working with El Dorado County Environmental Management Division on updating the small water well lists for the subbasin, updating the site environmental information for update of the district's drinking source water assessment and protection map. We've updated and reviewed the general inorganic radionuclide and chemical water quality data for the subbasin. And we've also developed a draft outline of the implementation plan that's being developed for the update. And I sent a copy of that to Melanie to forward to the board, just kind of FYI. I think this is probably one of the most important things that, in terms of for the board to get their eyes on, because the implementation plan, which is being developed for this updated groundwater management plan, is basically a roadmap of the types of actions that we see going forward over the next 5 years and then beyond the next 5 years as far as groundwater management within the basin. And so what you'll notice when you take a look at these groundwater management activities, they're organized into 3 different categories. The ongoing activities, these are items that we do on a continual basis just to satisfy our groundwater management requirements in accordance with current regulations. The short-term activities, those are work items that we see being performed over the next 5-year period. And then long-term, those are activities that will likely require a longer period of time than a 5-year time frame to achieve. And again, they're organized with respect to our existing groundwater management plan, which have specific basin management objectives. okay? And so it kind of differs that in an alternative or in our plan, it differs from a groundwater sustainability plan, that groundwater sustainability plans are geared specifically to those, again, we spoke about undesirable results, the sustainable management criteria, that's what your plan is managing to. So the draft of the implementation plan has also been circulated to the stakeholder advisory group, along with a request for review comments by the end of the month. Yesterday, we had a second workshop, and the specific topics that we spoke about included, again, sustainable management criteria that's being developed for our subbasin, the results from the modeling work, or some of the initial results from the modeling work as far as impacts on interconnected surface waters, and then at the end, we talked a little bit about the implementation. And so meeting notes and presentations for all these workshops eventually get posted on the district's groundwater webpage. The workshop 1 notes have been posted, so they were available there. I still need time to work up the meeting notes and presentations to get them ready for public release. So that'll be, give me several weeks and get that done. So that's it. Any questions?
I do have one. Sure. Is there a feedback loop between setting criteria and the results? The reason I asked this, I listened in yesterday, and if you set criteria kind of in a vacuum before you actually measure those criteria against reality, sometimes you can set traps for yourself. And I'll give you for instance. If you set a criteria that we won't experience groundwater level dropping to the point where it affects any screen interval on any well. Mm-hmm. You set that as a criteria, for instance. Mm-hmm. That could be unreasonable if there's a shallow private well that happens to be screened at a very shallow level. It could be unreasonable to hold the district to keeping the groundwater high enough to wet that screen interval. So I'm just saying there should be a feedback loop later to say, well, maybe that was an unreasonable objective or criteria when we laid it out in the beginning.
Well, that's a very good point. And one of the aspects of this program is that we will have to go through this update process on a 5-year cycle. So you're constantly having to go back and reevaluate and maybe better, dial in specifically what your management criteria need to be for the basin. As far as, with regard to domestic wells, I think within the groundwater management plan, and again, we're focusing on managing the basin towards our basin management objectives, which are broader and more flexible. The problem with domestic wells is definitely being considered. I mean, we've considered that in the modeling evaluations. I don't think that we're going to get down to a point of, for the first point, we do not have enough information about well construction on domestic wells to, kind of do that analysis, without anything firm underneath our feet as a basis for that. So it's geared. It'll be geared specifically. Well, it'll be geared towards what we do know, and what we do know are the large community water systems. We have information for those. Those wells, based on our estimates, provide more than 90% of the drinking water within the basin. Those are the things. Those are the big things, that we're focusing on. Now, problems with domestic wells, that's another thing that we need to be considering. I think it was a comment that we received from El Dorado County as far as their position. They would like us to, where possible, start consolidating wells. So that's, that's a very kind of difficult subject to carry forward, but I mean, we definitely need to take a look at, consolidation is just one option, obviously. But I think the way that we're going to handle that is looking at occurrences of dry wells within the basin and seeing how maybe through our sustainability agency we may be able to receive funding to assist small water system owners to join into a public water system. So.
Yeah, and I guess I use that as an example, but the concept is sometimes when you lay down criteria in the beginning, when you actually apply those criteria and measure, you find you trap yourself in the beginning. And there needs to be a feedback loop.
Yeah, most definitely. And I believe there is. There's nothing that says that because, as you get more information, that does not allow you to update those criteria.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Evo. Okay, John, General Manager report.
Okay, thank you. Starting with staffing, just one additional update in underground repair sewer. We held interviews for the lead position last week. I think we had 6 applicants, and Kevin Ross was selected. Kevin's been with us in the department for over 5 years and showed some really impressive technical and leadership skills, especially over the past year and a half. So he'll move up in that position, and this will open up his old position, and we plan to begin a full recruitment effort on that now.
Yeah, congratulations, Kevin.
Okay, COVID. No COVID sickness at the district. And we have actually just one person out right now due to reactions to a vaccine. So we are all pretty much back to normal, I would say, at the district, almost here, after some 16 plus months. So that's great. And based on new OSHA regulations, masks are no longer required if you've been vaccinated. And we had some discussion last time about the board meetings and thoughts on our virtual meetings and our live streaming. And Kelly, we had some additional conversations last week. And I think your thought is that this is probably our last live stream meeting. Is that correct? It takes a lot of IT time. It's very challenging to do these live stream meetings. Board members will still be able to call and participate, as Shane and Chris are doing today. So any other, and perhaps next time we'll have, we get all the computers back to normal, we can all join up here on the dais, perhaps as early as the next meeting.
My understanding that the call-in process under the Brown Act, you have to advertise the location of that point and the phone. Can you review that real quickly? Because I don't think you can just call in from your car. You have to make that available to the public via the application.
Go ahead, Gary. I was going to say, during the governor's executive order, he has allowed that board members can call in without us having to post the location where they're calling from. So it's kind of a temporary, I guess, workaround during COVID, and we're still kind of under those guidelines until he revokes that order.
I think that's through September.
Yeah, he hasn't. I haven't heard a date that he has.
That's the latest update I've heard is through September.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw something that said September 30th. That will be that would be done, and then we would have to go
Never
back.
really go back to that.
Yeah, but that's
Very good.
correct normally. You're right. We have to normally post if they're going to be calling in from a different location. We have to not only post that location, but they have to be on a speakerphone where the public, and they have to be in a public area where the public can participate in that meeting via their speakerphone. So they can't just be in their hotel room. They have to be in a public area where people can participate. So yeah, a little more cumbersome.
Very good. We'll have to transition at the appropriate time, I guess.
Okay, so, it's all on COVID, maybe no kids table next time, we'll see.
Yeah.
And if I just might add one more
Yeah.
thing, John, I think it's important to mention that when the public is calling in, because they can call in as well to the meetings, but because of the way our system's set up, they will not be able to make public comment via telephone. If they want to make public comment, they need to come to the district boardroom in order to do that. Board members, however, they're the only ones that will be able to be unmuted during the meeting to be able to make comment if they're calling in. So if the public wants to participate and they have public comments they want to make, they'll need to come to the boardroom in order to do that.
So it's the equivalent of having a televised meeting. City council meetings that are televised, you can't provide input, you can just monitor from your TV.
Yeah, the difference is they won't be able to watch, as of the next meeting, they won't be able to see the meeting taking place as it's happening. They can watch the recording afterwards, but they can hear it on the phone. They just can't call and make comments.
Yeah, we post it, like the next day.
Yes.
On our
Well,
website.
so this won't be they won't be able to see presentations or anything.
Correct. The live streaming piece of it is what's so cumbersome and so time consuming for IT. And that's what we're trying to get away from.
Okay, Tahoe Sierra Flushing, this is an interesting project. And at the end of this month, we will be working with a specialty contractor called Nodez in an really extensive waterline flushing effort in the Tahoe Sierra neighborhood, also known as Sierra Tract. All streets, it's about 10 miles, 1,250 customer connections. So it's a big area that we're going to be flushing. The purpose for flushing these lines is to clean the biofilm and tuberculation. Tuberculation is kind of a corrosion buildup that occurs or can form inside the pipes. So we want to flush those, and this will clear that out to provide better water quality and reduce head loss in the pipes and restore capacity to the pipelines for increased flows, of course, especially for fire flows. Systematic flushing of the lines is needed to maintain high water quality as well. Otherwise, that corrosion and tuberculation can release inside the pipe and get into people's houses potentially. We've had some water quality concerns in this area in the past 8 to 10 months, so that's why we're kind of doing this first. And really, as a standard operating procedure, the district should plan on flushing all of its system every 10 years. And this level of flushing has actually never occurred before in the district. And I really see this now as being a part of our ongoing asset management program. And we will work our way through our entire system over the next few years. So I'll bring forward an update in a couple of weeks, and there's going to be quite a bit of public outreach on this. It's going to be a little bit of stress on the system, so we're going to be prepared for any water leaks that might surface. But it'll be a big improvement for the area. Okay, my last item is Tahoe Keys Water.
John, before you go on to that,
Yes, sir.
is our water considered corrosive?
So we've had, I would say no, and Evo can, maybe I should just let Evo answer this. We had some corrosivity problems in the Christmas Valley area that we've corrected with that treatment system at South of Kentucky Well, the aeration system. Is that accurate, Evo?
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, we did water quality sampling as part of the last water survey for homeowners that wanted to take advantage of that. And as part of the suite of analysis, we included corrosivity we did a linear index measurement on water. And quite a few of the samples, I mean, it's a small sample set, but that was a very common problem, corrosivity. So in more shallow groundwater, that's definitely an issue.
For private wells, most water
Well,
samples taken on the private wells.
I mean, they're growing groundwater from, shallow levels, and water is corrosive. So,
So the reason I ask, I've had some experience in systems that changed their water supply, and it changed the corrosive properties. And it can affect things in two ways. If you have, if you change the velocity, it can cause the scale to mobilize. If you change the quality of water, it can cause the scale to mobilize. And sometimes those coatings that you talked about, the biofilm,
Yeah.
or in cases where it's more proactive, they put an orthophosphate in the water, and it puts a cholesterol on the pipe, and keeps the water from corroding the actual metal. In the absence of that, sometimes you can mobilize some of these things and get red water events.
Right.
So I guess flushing for the sake of flushing, you could have problems that come out of that may require coming back and using orthophosphate or something to recoat the pipes. So it's just something to watch for, maybe do a little research on, talk to some others.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll bring that back and think that over. See if there's anything you want to do differently.
John, I think it's worth noting that with that no-dead system, you're recirculating existing water. So you're not adding different water chemistry into the distribution system.
And just in iron or steel, if you do get red water events, it could be a real big public outcry.
Yeah.
Even though there's no health and safety issues, it's more of it's a color thing.
Yeah.
When the water comes out, you look at your glass and say, what is this?
Oh yeah, let me provide a little more detail maybe on the flushing process. No-DES, that really stands for no discharge, is kind of the acronym, I think, behind the company name. But if you can imagine on a couple hydrants on a block in Tahoe, Sierra, we'll hook up on one hydrant, and the hose will connect to a truck, a no-DES truck, and that no-DES truck has a number of filters on it, and after the filters we'll go back to another hydrant. So it'll be kind of probably 500, 600 foot operation, out one hydrant and in the other, and it'll circulate and go into those filters until it clears, and then they'll move it to the next block.
Yeah. So, and I think you've explained that before, and I recognize it. It's the months after, now that the pipe is clean. Now you got raw pipe exposed to this water, and that's why I asked. If it's corrosive, it can mobilize scales and things that did not come off. So anyway, it's just, I guess, monitor color and in the months following this flushing program. And just
it's a good point. What kind of fault requirements should be expected out there? And we see the East Bay Mud and City of LA and others and quite a bit of this. Some of them have their own trucks or a fleet of trucks that do this constantly. So we'll double check with them. I haven't recalled that conversation coming up yet about changing our procedures after the flushing effort. I would maybe add that a lot of these pipes are, let's say, 4-inch pipes, and they're so badly tuberculated that you have maybe a 2-inch or 2.5-inch pipe left. So on our system model, it's going to show 4-inch pipes going to a hydrant. We got 1,200 gallons per minute. But in the field, if you run those, you're not going to get that. So we need to fix that. But yeah, we'll continue to monitor it. Let's look into that. Thanks, Dave.
As far as I get to
All right, I'm going to recuse myself from the Tahoe Keys. I'm on the board of Tahoe Keys. property owner, so I have a conflict of interest. So with that, I'll say goodbye.
Thanks, Dave. Have a good holiday weekend.
Yeah, certainly.
Evo, did you, sorry, have anything to add?
Yeah, I think you may want to talk with Dan about your simple analysis that you do, the things that you want to focus on is pH and alkalinity. Those two have a big control on the corrosivity of the water. So if you see big changes in that, that is causing the corrosivity to increase, then they have a good point. You want to keep an eye out for, like you said, red water.
Sure, okay. Okay, on to the last item for me, maybe for the meeting, I guess, is an update on the Tahoe Keys water. So the intertie with Lukens, between Lukens and the Tahoe Keys, has been completed, and actually that was approved yesterday by the state, and it's going online today. It might already actually be online, yes. And talk a little bit about the Tahoe Keys wells. On well number 3, they're installing a uranium removal treatment system. It's not quite been finished. And well number 2 has been shut down due to uranium, and I understand the Keys is planning to install a treatment system there in the future. And well number 1, they're having problems with, and I think actually they're planning to take that down today for a day or two. We're hoping due to mechanical problems, and we've offered to assist the Keys in bringing that well back online as soon as possible. So with their well number 1 going back down, they're planning to bring, I guess, discontinue their construction activities on the treatment system at well number 3 for the moment, and bring well number 3 back online, of course, for the holiday weekend. But it looks like certainly the Keys will need immediate assistance from Lukens and possibly the district today, and perhaps at least over the weekend and perhaps next week. We are currently wheeling water through our interties with Lukens, and then that water is going to the Keys via that new intertie I just talked about. Currently, our own intertie with the Keys is closed, but it can be opened at any time. We have just one valve to turn, and everything's been tested, and we're ready to activate that really once we get a phone call from the Keys with that request. And we are also making modifications to our system on our side so that we can provide more water to the Y and to Tahoe Keys Boulevard and to the intertie locations. We're changing well settings and which wells are coming on when. And we're actually, I think, planning to move water really all the way from Myers, from the wells in Myers and Christmas Valley. Coming up to the Flagpole Booster, going through the Grizzly Mountain PRV and through the Twin Peaks PRVs, and then through Lake Tahoe Boulevard to the Y. So we are all working together on this. And unless there's, Chris, do you have anything you'd like to add? You've been in the field all morning trying to get this figured out.
It did change just prior to the board meeting, so I didn't have a chance to talk yet. Well, 1, they're going to keep running.
Oh, okay.
They're going to keep running. We reached out and asked if there was anything we could do to help, and at this point, there isn't. So they're going to keep running that for right now.
Okay. That's all for me.
That's it? I think there's no closed session, so I think we can adjourn this meeting.